Hey everyone, this is Trinket here, and in today's video, we'll be going through the top 10 kids who stopped thieves.
If their car broke down, then how can they move there?
That's when I picked up my machete and hit him in the back of the head.
And in percent spot, we've got a 12-year-old boy and a neighbor who stopped this burglar. This guy was burglarizing this house in this neighborhood, and then he went on to steal stuff from another house on top of that. And this house that he broke into had this 12-year-old boy inside. He was home alone doing homework. He heard noises, called 911, and another neighbor saw what was going on, and after he left the house, actually tackled this burglar. And the police showed up pretty much immediately afterwards because the boy had called them.
So normally, like my parents, or my mom or my sisters, they call up and say my name, like, "Hi Ben, we're home." So I didn't, and then I got a little nervous.
Police say the suspect, 36-year-old Andrew Harris, who is from Hartford, broke into two homes in the area. The second was on Auburn Road. A neighbor in that area saw Harris leaving a home and tackled him to the ground. He held him there until police arrived. Police say Harris entered the home through the front door. Harris, who was in court today, has a criminal record and was under the influence of PCP at the time.
Over tonight, we've got a wild situation. Probably not the safest way this could have been played out, but I'll tell you what, this kid has some massive balls. I certainly wouldn't be doing this, but this 11-year-old boy was home alone one morning, and somebody started knocking on the door. He didn't answer because, not supposed to do that, but eventually this person just broke down the front door, told the boy to stay hidden inside of his closet, and then proceeded to start stealing electronics and other such things from the house. And this boy, he could have stayed in his closet, which he did initially, but then afterwards, I guess he decided that he was going to go out and confront this burglar with a machete, and that's what he did. And he actually hit this burglar with the machete once. He tried to do it a second time, but missed, and the guy left.
I was hiding behind my door. I didn't answer the door.
Braden says a man then burst through the front door and found him in his room.
He told me to sit down on the ground and get in my closet, and I did that.
The suspect went into the living room to gather electronics, then went back to question Braden.
He found my phone on the counter, and he took the phone, but he dropped it, and that's when I picked up my machete and hit him in the back of the head.
Orange County deputies say the suspect, 19-year-old Jatavion Hill, kicked Braden in the stomach. Braden swung the machete again, but missed.
Real quick before the next one, make sure you like on this video and also subscribe to my channel, or else you're going to wake up and there's going to be a thief inside of your room tonight. This one's pretty savage. We've got a 12-year-old girl who woke up to find a burglar in her room. Can you even imagine? Apparently this burglar was trying to steal her TV. He was trying to take the wires off while she was sleeping. I don't know. This guy wasn't exactly the brightest, but she went and let her grandfather, who was staying there with her, know about the whole situation, and he told her to get out of the house. She instead, however, just went to the kitchen, grabbed this giant knife, kitchen knife, and basically told the dude to leave, and afterwards he did.
12-year-old Paris Hall walks us through the crime scene step by step after a man broke into her Lake Wales home Monday morning.
I feel like if I would have got scared, then maybe he would have got scared.
Woken from a dead sleep, Paris says she was confused, the man telling her he knew the family.
I had it was an old phone that didn't work. It was sitting on my dresser. So I guess he looked at that and made up an excuse saying, "Oh, my uncle told me to come get my phone."
She didn't buy it.
I told him to leave and he left and he went out the back door.
Lake Wales police releasing this sketch, Paris telling us it looks identical to the man in her home.
Number 7 spot, this is kind of an interesting one. This is all centering around a girl who was just a bit intrigued by this car that had randomly parked in her driveway. And she tried to alert her brothers. Apparently they had a snow day or something, so it was only them alone, her and her two brothers. They were busy playing Xbox, though. They didn't want to deal with the situation, so they just basically told her to piss off, which I think is a little bit funny. But she ended up calling up her parents, explained the situation because these guys were just parked in their driveway. She also let their dog out to scare him off a little bit because she was concerned that maybe the guys are going to come and try to break in or something. But they eventually had a coworker come by to come and help, and it turns out that these guys were actually professional package thieves, and they had been doing some crazy stuff in the neighborhood, and they got caught because of this.
I opened the door really quick and I closed it and locked it and let Rocky out.
A coworker of her parents drove by the house and told the men they could not park there. They reportedly told her they were having car trouble and then moved to the next street.
It makes no sense because if their car broke down, then how can they move there?
Little did Sydney know that the trio had ordered packages to a foreclosed home on the next block, and she caught them in the act. Wayne police would not comment on the juvenile's involvement, but said the 3 men arrested are part of a large, dangerous ring of thieves.
Moving on to number 6, we've got a robber who broke in through the back window of this house, and inside was an 11-year-old boy home alone. His mom was down the street at like a workout class or something, and he came face to face in the living room with this intruder because he wanted to confront him, and basically couldn't really do anything about it at the moment. This guy literally took his PS4 right in front of him. It was probably a really bad moment for this kid, but he ended up calling his mom, and his mom came home immediately. He got out of the house, and on the doorbell camera, they actually caught his face because he had been there to the house before because he was a beggar around the neighborhood who comes up with fake stories to try to get money, and because of that, the kid could ID him.
It is a mother's worst nightmare. It was horrific, and I don't ever want to experience that ever again in my life.
It was just after 10 a.m. when this mother got a call from her 11-year-old son. He was standing face to face with a strange man in his living room.
My son was frantic, asking me if I had hired someone to come over to our home. There was someone in our living room, and he was stealing our things.
At number 5, we get a 12-year-old boy who encountered a burglar in his own home and basically started talking to the guy and eventually got him to leave. Basically, the story behind this is this house that they're living in, the bottom part of it, I think a good portion of it is being renovated, so there's a lot of people coming in and out occasionally from the day-to-day to do work and stuff inside of there, and the boy was downstairs at the time, and there was some random dude, and he thought it was a worker at first, so he started talking to him, but it turned out, and it was quite clear that this was not a worker, and the guy came up with an excuse to leave immediately, and he had been searching through boxes and trying to steal stuff beforehand is what was figured out.
The person who came out of this room wasn't my dad. It was a stranger. He said something like, just checking out the bathroom, and then he just leisurely walked over here and walked through the door.
Oliver thought the intruder was just another worker at the time because the first floor of their home is undergoing a renovation. The boy realized there was a problem when he told his mom about it, and she told him no one was scheduled to work on the house yesterday.
In the number 4 spot, this one's pretty impressive. This is a boy who handled the situation just incredibly well. I mean, he did it calmly, and altogether just, it's really impressive, like I said. But this boy, he woke up in the middle of the night to some noise, and it turns out there was a man inside of his house, or his grandmother's house is where he was staying, and he decided that he was going to do something about this. So he woke everyone up, including his sister and everyone like that, got them to his grandmother's room, and then locked the door. And then after that, they all called 911 after he explained the situation.
I slid off the couch and went into my grandma's room. I knew that I had other people instead of myself in my house. I was the only man in the house, and I had to step up.
He ran to his grandma's room, woke his family up, and locked the door.
I was shaking so hard, it might have shook the whole bed. Because I was scared that he had a weapon that he was going to kill us with, and I started crying because I didn't want to see that happen.
Then he and his grandma called police.
Over to 3, this one is insanely low. This great-grandmother was dropping off another family member at the emergency room, and when she got back into her car, or when she went back out, she figured out that somebody was trying to steal it. This guy, he had actually was basically in the process. He was driving off, and in the back of the car was an 8-year-old and his sister, and basically the only reason that this guy didn't get away with kidnapping these 2 kids along with the car was because this 8-year-old was able to get him and his sister to get out of the car. They jumped out before it got going.
Very close call, caught on surveillance video, and you could see the man driving away in the car. 2 kids jump out while their great-grandmother ran after it.
Number 2, we've got a girl who called 911 from her basement because she woke up and heard a bunch of noises and stuff upstairs. She called her parents and asked them if they were doing something upstairs. I don't know, but they weren't because they weren't even home, and she ended up calling 911 because of it. Turns out somebody was breaking in.
Instinctively, she picked up the phone to call her parents, hearing the commotion of all of her family's belongings being thrown around the house.
So I called my mom and she was like, we're not home, like no one's supposed to be there. So then I started freaking out and I called 911, and that's when I told them, like, someone's in my house.
And in just a matter of minutes, officers from nearly every agency nearby were en route. This footage is from a neighbor's Ring camera showing officers all over Reek Road.
They made me stay on the phone with them the entire time.
Eventually, police caught both suspects less than a block away from the home they just tried to break into. Their ages, only 21 and 23.
And fun, we'll start this video off with a woman who was dropping off her 1-year-old at a daycare. Her 3-year-old daughter was still in the back seat. She was literally just dropping this baby off. And while she was doing that, just for like a minute or two, somebody came and tried to steal the car, or steal stuff from inside of the car, from what I understand. And the only reason that this thief was scared off so quickly was because the child was literally screaming like crazy because of the situation.
She definitely has stranger danger, so if she doesn't know you, she's going to scream.
Marie Duncan says she'll never do it again. She says she parked under the overhang in the drop-off lane and right by the front door of the Kids Are Kids daycare. She was dropping off her 1-year-old son. Her 3-year-old daughter was heard screaming from the van, and they saw a man running from it.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later, though. Shabang.